Action.
Oh, my word.
Okay, 7:04, we'll call the meeting to order, and I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda, if somebody's so kind as to do so.
I'll move. I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay, Simone has provided us with minutes from the last meeting, which, is straightforward.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I will second those.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Ecotones and all, huh?
I have
I had to make sure that got in there.
I can't motion Simone because I wasn't here at the meeting.
Okay, old business, we have maybe a boundary decision for the split lots between R1, R4 along the Limerick Road south of the Eastern Trail, and I understand that Tad was going to do a little extra data gathering from hopefully that last resident.
Didn't get anything.
Okay,
All right, so.
so based on that,
So, this is what hold on, I'm gonna pull up the other map.
Did we have one resident that didn't respond? or-
Yeah,
well, I just wanted, we couldn't track
Landowner,
her
they're
down.
not a resident, they're a landowner.
Oh, okay.
so, let me pull in on it, so I'll show you what we're proposing at this point. Although, remember, we dropped, we're gonna follow the lot lines, but we're gonna drop the parcel lines on the final map, so we're not being completely, rigid in where these boundaries go.
Why are we dropping the parcel lots? Because it's too hard to keep up?
Well, there was some discussion last meeting about the fact that it was too complicated for this level, that the planning board should actually do
Oh, okay.
the fine tuning.
Okay.
That pretty much,
That's pretty much it,
Okay.
that's
What we were talking about.
well said.
okay.
So what we have, essentially, this is what we've got. If you recall, we heard from all of these folks. So we have all of Judean Lane is gonna be a part of that. Then we have, all of these lots in here. We have the, Riverside excavation.
You want to say that again, Ted, so we can see it?
All of the Judean Lane is now in, R1.
Okay.
Riverside excavation next door, and then the Emerson property next door. And then from then on, we just keep it the same line.
What about paying Drew?
Pam said if you're gonna pass the farm stuff, fine, she's okay with being in an R1. Remember, Pam said, I'll be in an R1 or an R4, but I need the loans. I need to be able to have my solar.
Right.
So, if you do it, if the planning board goes forward with what they're supposed to go forward with this time, Pam's situation will be solved. Because they've already come up with that language
Yeah,
for dealing with farm stands, or, excuse me, farm retail. And they've come up, they've argued out that language, they did that actually a year ago. So it's just gotta make it to this meeting.
So we're gonna leave all the rest of the yellow in our, or in our one split?
Yeah, we're gonna leave it as it is. And the only other, basically, this property here, that's all in conservation anyway. He doesn't care. These are the two properties where I haven't heard any input. This is an existing residence right there, let's not make them non-conforming. They're already non-conforming. Well, no, they aren't, they're non-conforming, let's not make them non-conforming by making them a smaller lot. Because if we make it R4, then it's gonna be a 3-acre lot, and not a 3-acre lot.
right.
Okay, so where is Pam?
This is Pam right here.
Okay.
Well, we still have, at least it's still 1, 2, 3 parcels that are split.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know that that's a huge deal. I
Well,
think
one
we-
doesn't
I think
care
we-
about being split, one actually would prefer to be all R4, but, you know, you can make them all R4.
Well, that's kind of what I was looking at.
You can make this all R4 if you want to.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then, well, you could do the same thing with the one to the north of that.
But I kind of leave that one to the planning board, you know, on that issue. You know,
Well, I think one of the things we were trying to avoid is this split in half and half, and having, if you wanted to do anything, you're gonna have to have a survey to find out where that line
You don't have to
is.
do anything anyways with a survey. Nobody's doing any splitting without a survey anyways. So,
Well, no, we split them. If they wanted to develop something, they have to develop one half of it one way, one half of the other way.
right, but the issue is that from the two properties, we don't know what they want to do. One property, all the rest want to be in the R1 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You know, the R1 is a higher development density, even though half the property is in wetlands anyways.
Well, we
Frankly
have-
speaking, the wetlands line, this isn't far from the wetlands line.
Yeah.
The wetlands line goes something like this. I mean, Peter's land here, now this is all wetlands. This is all wetlands back in here. This is actually floodplain back in here from the brook. The brook comes down through here, that's actually.
And the one with the non-conforming,
That's
did that
good.
used to own Pam Drews?
And-
Wasn't that all one piece at one time?
Don't know.
Yes, I believe it was all.
It was.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And, you know, that second parcel that surrounds Pam Drew, I mean, you've got a sliver that's R1, there's nothing, it's all mostly R4 already. So that leaves the one parcel in between.
And then both of those belong to Keizer.
Right.
Right.
And I don't
So-
feel like denying him his R1 capability by just saying, okay, we're gonna just put the green line like this.
Right,
So
well,
we're gonna do
since
this.
we haven't been able to contact him, I kind of agree with that, but I'd be inclined to bring Bert Cowgill's R4 up to,
Mhm.
if not the road, up to that, little piece he's got cut out as a separate deeded item.
Okay, I guess my only question is, what are we, besides making things look neat, what are we accomplishing? by doing
Well, I think
this?
Bert said he wanted it in R4, didn't he?
Yeah, he would prefer it.
Well, then,
He doesn't, as Bert said, he doesn't care because it's all conservation land anyways. It's all got
Right, but-
conservation easement.
still,
Yeah.
we asked, he expressed an opinion, I see no reason we can't honor that opinion, and since it's all in conservation land anyway, it makes sense to have it in R4, because R4 will be the rural conservation district. So, why not?
Is that the one with the square and the square?
No, it's the one below that. It's the one with the top of the R and the 4R,
Okay,
Yeah.
one with the little slither on the top?
and the little sliver next to the Limerick Road is where his house and
Yep.
buildings are. But it all belongs to him.
What's your problem, Ted, with making all of that R4?
Well, we're taking property rights away. You're going from a 1 acre zone to a 3 acre
So,
zone.
well, we're just talking, I think John was just asking about Bert Cowgill's piece.
Oh, birds?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when we're talking about neat, I'd like the line to be somewhat neat. It's gonna be sawtoothed otherwise.
Right.
If we go like this, and we're gonna go around like this, we don't know what to do with this, I wouldn't take that, guys.
No, just leave that as is.
So if we leave this line here, then we're
And
gonna come up
and-
here,
Yeah,
then we come back down here, it's kinda sawtooth, that's all. I like neatness too. Besides, I have to describe this stuff.
well, if it's a question of neatness versus what makes most sense for the property owner, neatness takes the second place in my personal opinion.
You know, folks, I know everybody wants to do this property line business, but we've got other areas in town where we haven't been able to do that. I mean,
Right, but
sometimes
if-
it just doesn't work.
Right, but if he's
Yeah.
voiced that he would like it in R4, and it's already in
It
conservation.
doesn't hurt him to have it in R1.
But it doesn't, what difference does it make if we color it to the road or we color it halfway through? It doesn't really matter.
Other than the description.
It's just the description.
All right, I have to ask a
But
couple
is
of
the
questions.
building, at any point, is that gonna be under the trust, or can that be sold later?
Building
And
can be
if-
sold later, it's not
And
part
so
of the
someone
trust.
who could move into it would like to do farm retail, again, they would be hampered by the R1 issues
No,
No, because they're supposed to fix that.
for everyone, or just the R1, R4?
No, understand, the retail, farm retail exists everywhere in all districts. The problem is the issue that you have to, your primary sale, goods that you, produce that you sell is gonna be the primary, I would say the majority of the produce that you sell on the property is raised on the property. Obviously, so you don't have off-site farming stands. Basically, you could be pulling it in from California, saying, oh yeah, this is farm raised, yeah, but it's not raised here. The
Well,
object,
I'm just, putting the fact that if.
and the problem is,
if
how,
there's
yeah,
an
the
issue
problem
with
is,
Pam Drews, is there gonna be a
Let me
similar
finish.
issue with that?
let me finish though. The problem with Pam Drews was Pam Drews in a co-op.
Right.
And so Pam's wool is that, we don't even know if Pam's wool's in the socks she sells.
Mhm.
That was the problem.
Right.
Okay, I have to ask a couple of questions so I understand what's what. This is Pam.
Yeah.
How much is this? How big is this?
It's his access point, I don't know how big it is.
Well, Pam's piece is 10 acres, so if that helps.
It's an acre, 2 acres.
All right, well, you're probably not gonna be able to build on this
Well,
in that zone anyway.
yeah, but that piece is owned by the R4 guy.
Next.
Well, the pieces,
This.
the pieces that, yes, and the
Yes.
one below it, that's all the same owner.
It's all the same.
Oh, this and this is all the same?
Yes, all of that, just cut
Oh,
out
okay.
cut out the
Now it
little-
makes a little more sense.
just cut out the little square and cut out Pam's, and the rest of it is all one owner. And then Burt Cowgills is the
And then
next
this is
one.
Burt's,
Yes.
so this is Burt's.
So I think our only point of discussion here is what to do with Burt's piece.
And Burt only goes up to here, right?
Yeah,
Not this.
right.
It's 88 acres.
I'm for just leaving it as is.
If I take this map and I get rid of the parcels, this is what it's gonna look like.
Now, that may help, let's take a look at that.
Don't look at the screen, look at this, thank you. And I'll try it with. Okay, so that's what it's gonna look like. We take away all the property lines, this is what the general zoning in the town of Arundel will look like. Of course, the TCD doesn't look very general, but this is the general zoning patterns that we're proposing right now, which include, basically we have rural areas, rural conservation at the extremes, at the eastern and western extremes, along the river, and then we have our growth corridor right in through here.
Makes sense.
We have our two, and this R2 district is lesser density than our R1 districts. Our R1 districts are along basically arterials. If I add the roads to it, I have a problem. My E911 layer is being uncooperative. And then I can't.
And I'm fine with that. I mean, Burt's isn't gonna, it's not gonna make any difference to Burt. I mean, he'd like to have it one way, but I don't think it makes any difference. He's not gonna do anything with it.
I can live with it either way, I just want to make sure that the decisions we make are for reasonable reasons.
That's that one. I already have that.
Look familiar.
Thank you. Must be this one. Thank, oh, God. I have a little top on my scanner.
That makes it too messy. I can't read.
Well, this is my problem. I gotta get rid of these labels, and the labels are embedded, and I can't break the code on it. So they're
a lot better when you print it out at full scale than at this reduced scale. But then that basically gives you the, when it can get rid of the labels, this is what the map should look like, the final map.
Yeah.
Where it'll show the major roads, and then it'll show the areas in which we have development. And it's not very general, I mean, this is still pretty specific even without the labels. But this gives us a general idea of where things are going. I've always found it odd that the R1s are split by the R10.
I was just
I
thinking
never
that, why
understood
didn't we
that.
continue it along Limerick Road?
I don't know.
Because the school runs right along there, and you've got all these little mobile homes right along, across the street from the school, which are definitely not big lots, I don't believe there. So, I don't know why, but
Yeah, I never understood that, but.
you've got North Skilling's Road,
Yep, you got North Skillings Road.
Liberty.
I've got all this, I wish I could hook in the aerials. I can't.
All right, we're getting away from the area we're looking at though.
Well, we're dealing with the R1. You know, we're dealing with the lower R1, and that's what the way it looks. Cleaning it up with those labels.
Well, I don't think that
Probably
that's,
drop the private ways too, because they create new lines here.
that's not a bad looking map.
Well, with the labels gone, that'll probably be our comprehensive plan map.
Yeah. And I think it conveys what we've done, and, you know, what we're proposing,
Right.
without too much confusion.
And remember, the R2 district and the R1 districts are following property lines. The only place where they don't is down at the R1 on the west side of Limerick Road. That's about it. Everything else, except for DB1, remember DB1 doesn't follow property
Right.
lines entirely either. DB2 doesn't either, DB2 splits properties.
B1, isn't
Beg your pardon?
it? Is it B1 too? Little
B1
bit.
does on the opposite
Right,
side of the
right.
road, on the west, on the east side, it does, yeah.
But were those, I mean,
That's 1,000, on the east side, it's 1,000
Yeah.
feet in.
but since those are our business and mixed-use districts, they have slightly different,
Yeah, I'm not sure you want to
It's not-
revisit that at this.
yeah, and it's not as important necessarily as it is with small lot residential.
You know, it all depends what happens in the next several years. And I say that because the market's starting to pick up. Starting to see a lot of evidence that there's pent-up demand.
Well, we'll probably still be meeting, so we can fix it then. I heard that, Ted.
It's always good to keep your comprehensive plan current to the town's needs.
I don't know.
And that's the truth. I mean, you know, at some point, it may reestablish the state planning office or some agency to start enforcing comprehensive zoning laws right now. Because right now, frankly speaking, there's nobody to enforce it. Conservation, and they don't.
It shouldn't be up to them to enforce it anyway.
The map with the lot lines back on,
Sure.
I'm just questioning the same reasoning as why we never connected R1s. I mean,
I don't know.
when you think about, when you're driving along Limerick Road,
There's nothing.
on the left-hand side, other than Mr. Davis's large property, it's all little houses right along that Limerick
Mhm.
Road.
Yeah. I mean, I'll focus in on the next section that you're talking about. So if we're talking about, come on, back up.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, basically, you're right, except for this one large
This is,
parcel.
this is the town, this right here is the school, and this is the town field, okay? So then you've got all these little parcels, you've got all these that are across the street from the school,
Mhm.
and then, you know, if I
That's
remember right,
already cut
you
off.
have a several. Then this one here, I believe he's gonna be conservation as well, I believe. But I mean, other than that, you have all these little parcels here, so, you know, I mean, what would be, that's kind of a growth area by the school.
Yep, it is growth area. I think the only issues that you have,
And that's South
It's
Skilling's
Duck
Road, where all those little lots are in there, is South
Yep.
Skilling's
Mhm.
Road.
yeah, that's a pretty dense area in there.
So Mr. Davis's lot, I believe, having, you know, just talked to him a little bit, he mentioned something about conservation or a trust or something. I'm not positive, but.
I have one question. As good an observation as that is, do we want to open that can of worms at this stage of the game? Since we have town meeting to be ready for in almost no time.
Try to get all.
I would say no. Just make
No, but there's nothing to stop us if we have
We can,
people that want it done, there's nothing to stop us from updating it.
yeah, I mean, that can be revisited. I'm just concerned, because if we're
I think it's too
going
late.
to entertain a connection there, then that means we have to have another set of meetings with property owners. I don't see that we have the time for that unless we push this off another year. And if we push what we're doing off another year, that's going to, in a huge way, mess up the planning board.
No. I think, they haven't yelled, screamed, I haven't heard anything from anybody that's in that area, and then
He would
sure.
not, he would not want our land, but.
if we wanna revisit it as we continue on with the comp plan after we do these first changes, that's one thing, but I think, this point in time, I think it's too late, and then I think that we need to have their input before we made that kind of a change.
So do we have consensus on holding that thought?
Yeah, that's fine, because I'm looking at the larger parcels, and don't know that, some of it belongs to Roger, I know he doesn't want to have, broken up. So I think your lots are already broken up, that will be broken out of there, pretty much.
Well, I know one property owner would love it, but that's beside the point. He's trying to put in an over 55 development, so.
Which one is that?
Whole road of Tasmans.
Where is that on?
But that's
on that?
already,
So,
isn't that already in the R1?
no, it's in the R2.
R2?
He's right here.
You wanna put that so I can see it now?
Yeah, he's in the R2 right there.
Oh, it's just a little tiny.
Well, it's 6 acres.
Because you could run right along and Rogers can be the R4, and I know he doesn't want to split it, but it would make sense, so don't turn, you put that all off.
Yeah, leave the bigger parcels in the back office.
Yeah, I
Just
mean-
follow right along.
And there is some serious, there's some very serious constraints back there on the soils.
All
We
right,
can
well,
revisit it.
All right, let's keep that on the back burner.
Back burner,
Okay.
So, you want me, so how do you want to deal with those lines in this area here?
I think the
Just
consensus,
R1, R4 on Limerick Road South.
I think the consensus of the group was to leave it as you have it there? Yes? Do we want a formal vote on that, or should we just all shake our heads?
I'll make a motion that we leave the R1, R4 split as it's shown on the map that Tad has so diligently provided us.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. That would be unanimous. For those of you who are counting, because you're taking notes.
Fun
All
as
right.
that, then.
Now we have the other document we've been working on, and we tried to get it to you so you had time to look it over ahead of time. Table of contents page really doesn't make a difference. So shall we go through this page by page and see if there's anything we would like to change at this stage of the game? So it's that maybe speak now or grab a hold of the piece moment. Vision statement.
I like it.
We made
I would change it.
a few changes to that last time, but we're still happy with those. General pattern of development page. And again, for Diane wasn't here, what's in italics was what we changed last time. So,
I have your number.
yes, all right. The VI district, we did nothing with, or just, I put it in there because in the logical sequence, once we're done with this, that's where it should go. The mixed-use districts description page, I took the liberty of adding that mixed-use district that we may or may not get to this time, but I figured if we put it in the mix, and it got voted in, at least that gave us the option of working on it, knowing ahead of time if the town was happy with it. That's at the junction of Eastern Trail, Limerick Road, the Trailhead District. And that changes the number of mixed-use districts to 6. So as I typed that in, I said the planning board is just gonna be happier and happier and happier. Okay, DB1, I did make one change here just for consistency, and that instead of in that first statement calling it the DB1 district, I spelled it out. And that made it consistent with the other pages. Other than that, that was what we approved last town meeting. Same thing with DB2 on that page. And the Gateway District, Townhouse Corner District, and ARD have not changed either. And then at the last meeting, you requested that we take the R1, R2, and take that information that we had, which we were happy with, or I should say the language, and construct it so it follows the pattern of the others, so it's split into an introductory paragraph and then uses a development standard. And that was a little tricky at first, so I still have a space that doesn't belong there. But that's okay, we can fix that. Does anybody see a problem with how that's reorganized? Because if you do, we're gonna have the same problem in R2.
I think we moved the development standards to the front.
I think we'd like to move the vice chair to another committee.
I have to
Well, at least
say,
we don't have to get out the rope that way.
having missed the last meeting, I found it pretty easy to follow.
That's encouraging.
Well, this is the pattern that was used initially,
I know.
and then something happened. Cognitive dissonance in the original writers of this. So I think this is great, this works very well. It's consistent all the way through.
Other than the change of the spacing on the second paragraph of the uses. In my opinion.
The only thing I didn't see, because I wasn't here, is under the rural conservation, are we that far? Ask
Just to
questions?
make sure R1,
Okay.
R2 are okay.
Okay.
I'm not hearing anybody jumping up and down, I guess we're good. Okay, rural conservation, yes.
Okay. What did we do with the boundaries in that area? Did we follow the lot lines?
Basically, that we, because we had, they had to follow the lot lines with the other districts, they automatically fell into place for our, what is R4 and what would be RC.
Okay. Well, because of that, I ended up with going from part of mine in it to all of it then, probably.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I could be wrong, I've been wrong before, willing to do it again. That's good to have. Language-wise, well, Tad fires up the machinery again. We good? Now I know what they call it, a smart board, not a swift board.
Yes.
Okay.
I do like how you worded the development standards. I did like that word.
As long as it's clear.
Instead of the
makes sense.
50% and all this.
Well, yeah, the roof and, we all agreed that was
Well, no, I think this,
not a good deal.
this is telling people this is what you'd like you to do, but this is, you're not necessarily restricted to donating half your property or,
Okay, now, what was your question in terms of lot lines?
okay, so I'm trying to figure out.
You're all in R4, and always have been, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That white area was just an overlay zone that
yeah,
had nothing to do with.
that's R4.
So where's the rural conservation?
R4. What was R4 is now RC.
Okay,
I
so
haven't
what's
changed
the
much
white?
over, so-
That's that corridor protection overlay.
Okay.
But that's still RC.
I'll probably change that to a hatch.
Okay.
Yes, that would look better than that, because people think that that's a different zone.
That's
Okay.
just that we haven't even brought.
That's
it
why
up.
I was confused.
Discuss that, right?
No,
Right.
no.
It's not described there anywhere yet.
Right,
No, we haven't described it yet.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't described that, we
Or
haven't
what
dealt
it's
with
for.
telecommunications, nor have we dealt with mobile home parks unless we propose to make no changes to those.
Which is why I said we'll still be meeting when
Well, those will continue over in the R2 district, up in the AR district, and down along Campground Road for the,
What's that?
that's the mobile home parks. And then the telecommunications is basically along the eastern face of the mountain.
But they're allowed,
Basically
they're
in
allowed,
here.
but I wouldn't expand it.
That was very arbitrary. That was very arbitrary.
Of course it is. Well, no, it's based on heights, it's based on elevations. But yeah, is it our?
As far as I'm concerned, we
was
already
put
have
down
too
by
many.
the,
Like
I
land.
don't mind them on individual lots, but we have too many.
Town wanted one, and we got one.
No, well, the town one's not even in the telecommunications
Right.
overlay zone.
Okay, so we don't get sidetracked terribly.
Right,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
As long as I understand what the white is, I'm fine.
Okay, so are we happy with the language for the RC district? We're gonna stick with that?
We're transitions.
On your legend, you've got rural conservation, suburban resident, we don't use those.
We're not gonna use those now.
Right,
So I'm gonna change
You're
those.
gonna
I have to
those.
change the legend now again.
Okay.
I didn't feel like doing it until I was absolutely sure, because this is such a pain to do. One question that I really wanna throw a wrench into the works.
Ah, good.
Yeah. One thing that's bothered me, and bothered a couple of property owners, is why is one side of Lombard Road R2 and the other side R4 or RC?
Beats the heck out of me.
Where's Lombard Road?
This is Lombard Road right here. Focus in on it. Well, that's not where I wanna go. That's where I
Bring a
wanna go.
boat.
Okay, boy, it gets prettier as we get closer, I guess we'll go through that. This is Lombard Road, right here. And we have a zone, the
Did
road
you
is a
change
zone
that?
change.
No, that's been like that.
It's been like that for, how long?
Well, if they got issued, they can take it to a comp plan and send their issues. But I won't change it now.
I think it had to do with the size of the lots on one side of the road as opposed to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is I got all these, this is Vinegar Hill area in here, and I've got all these tiny little
That's-
lots. Not Vinegar Hill.
I was gonna say that.
I was just gonna say.
Like Vinegar Hill.
No, that's on River Road.
No, it's not Vinegar.
No, Vinegar Hill is on River Road.
Right. It's a very small little enclave in there. It's some of them are historic houses.
Oh, well, that answers my question, because I was gonna say, was that there before?
Is that the
Okay.
Vernon School Road or not? No, that's not Vernon School Road.
And I think it might be.
That's that's the other one, those little squares above it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, that's it.
That's
in the
Vernon, that's
R2.
Vernon School Road.
Yeah, this is, I don't know what the heck
I
that is.
don't either.
Small lots, there's a tiny little lot there.
Right, but I think when they would, if I can remember correctly, when we were looking at this the first time, I think it was because there were many of the, I mean, there were a few, but the majority of them were all larger lots. Of course, that doesn't mean that they haven't been subdivided since the decisions were made back in whenever.
And then it followed the Goffnell Brook area, Goffnell.
Yeah, that's all over here.
Right.
This is, the question was, why do you have 3 acres zoning on one side of the road and 1 acre zoning on the other?
Well, I think the answer is what Diane just alluded to, that originally the larger lots lay on the south side of the road, the smaller lots were on the north side.
But
so-
isn't that 2 acres on the other side? It's not one.
Yeah,
It's 2 acres and, I'm sorry, 2 acres and 3 acres.
right.
Okay,
So
don't
that-
get me
It's
confused.
not huge.
And I think it was the size of the lots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At the
but
time
we're
that
thinking
we were
about
making the
future
decision.
planning.
Correct.
Remember, we're doing future planning, we're not doing the way it is now.
Now,
We're doing
now the
future
little
planning.
lots over there, is that the new subdivision? Is that what that is? Isn't that new subdivision?
That might be.
Because I say they were not there.
Yeah, that's Stony Brook.
I was gonna say
That's
that,
Stony Brook right
that
there.
was not
That's
there
Stony
when
Brook,
we,
you're right.
yeah, when we,
This little one there. Yeah.
right. When it was, it's again one of these little subdivisions, just like they kept popping up in R4. It popped up in this zone, but that wasn't there when we set the zones.
Is that an area that is easily developable, or is that another area where it's mostly swamp and ledge? You know,
Yes and no.
Is the growth potential there, I guess
Yes,
that's my basic
yeah,
question.
there's growth potential there, yeah.
All right,
Actually, I
well-
would say probably Stony Brook is probably one of our most recent successful subdivisions. Houses in there going for 400,000.
Okay, then my next question is, if we were to entertain moving that line, where would the logical place be to move it to?
Oh, we wouldn't be able to follow property lines.
Oh, it would be over to the other road.
I would say out the way, yeah.
That's a big
You'd be
expansion.
opening up Senate Road as well.
Yeah, because this is Senate
Yeah,
Road right
Right,
there.
Right.
so,
Let me back
Yeah,
up,
back up if we would please.
so it's a little easier to see. Yeah, there we go. That better?
mhm.
Well, surely we're back to the same problem that we had talking about joining the 2 sections of R1.
Correct.
To get into doing that, we're gonna be here for
Yep.
at least another year.
Right. Then you'd be moving the whole R2 thing all the way across some of R4 down below.
Yeah.
If you're accommodating all the housing down there.
Yeah, you would be talking about a strip along here like that.
And then you have people saying, well, if they're in R2, what about all these little places? Why are they in,
Right.
you know, why is that section in, you know, so then you're
Yeah.
talking about moving the R4
Mhm.
and making it just, you
That's how
know,
I can see it.
I don't know. But, like I said, that development was not here when we set the zones initially.
My fundamental question still is, should we have different zones on different sides of the same road?
Sorry, say that again?
Having different zones on different sides of the road where there's no real physical differences between the different sides of the road.
Well, you have it with
Sure.
Log Cabin Road, on one side is Kennybunk Ford and one
One
side
side
is
is-
ours, what is the
We
difference?
can't do anything
It-
about that.
No, but it is
It
different
is.
zones. It's-
But actually, that's why we did do the TCD district, was because we had commercial on the other side.
That's why I just drive on the Arundel side.
Regardless of which way you're going?
Exactly.
Ah, that's fun.
Tell me when you're going north. Yes, I realize this is last minute, but I think this is food for thought.
Food for
Right,
thought.
let's
Yes.
take it at that and move on.
So we now have 2 of our back burners filled.
Back burners,
Okay.
right.
Okay. All right, well, now, it seems as though we're basically happy with what we have poured our efforts into to this point. Now we have to make that, we're now into new business, we have to make that mesh with the policies and goals section. So,
Shall I shut this down now?
probably,
Or shall I keep it open just in case?
it depends.
I'll
I
keep it.
may later on have a question about R3.
Fire away.
Probably the best way to do this is the way we did it last time, we'll go through page by page, anybody who has a problem with one of these, or sees something that needs to be fixed, changed, edited, in or out, speak up, and we'll get it. So, let's wing with that. My first problem was with goal 1, where it says policy 8. That's just a typo that needs to be fixed.
Are we looking at the same, this?
I'm looking at this.
Oh, you're looking at the brown.
Yeah, not the
pages.
implementation
Okay,
plan,
so,
which is
right,
a-
a little bit ahead of that one.
The policies and, so you look at section D1.
Yeah.
And my thought was, the last time when we went through this, we found some things that apply directly to what we had been working on. And we also found some other things that didn't make any sense and needed to be taken care of. I suggest we do the same thing this time. Everybody together, as much as they can be?
Mm.
Okay. Want to share? Goal 1.2, which has nothing to do with what we've been talking about, but it says establish a committee to reestablish a community day similar to Arundel Day. I'm wondering if we should just nix that, because maybe it's superfluous at this stage of the game. I don't mind leaving it in, it just jumped up at me and I said, well, we've got another group kind of doing that.
It's just like 1.1, we have not.
Well, I know we have it, but we're gonna have a new town manager we can break in.
Oh, right. The town clerk has been the one publishing them for the last 20-something years.
Anyway, 1.2, leave it in, take it out. It's not doing any harm there, but just so it struck me as I said, it's superfluous.
I'm not sure it's really up to the town to do it.
Is it your little society kind of doing this?
We're trying to, yeah, on a regular basis.
How about instead of establish a committee, support
Yeah.
committees that reestablish a community day similar to,
Uh,
or support activities.
Committee or organization.
Yeah, support organizations.
It
Okay,
doesn't have to have a town affiliation.
right, support organizations. Which organize? Community day?
Which promote community day, which
Well, we have to go and promote it, we're gonna make it happen.
And I don't know, you wanna call it a day, community events?
right?
Well, it says similar to Arundel Day, but if we get rid of Arundel Day and just say community events,
Yeah.
support organizations which organize community events.
Yep.
Okay, because that covers a multitude.
And then you're not locked into a
Yeah.
day or a.
Right.
Okay,
So which one are you talking about here?
1.2,
So it's gonna be community events?
support organizations which organize community events.
Am I in the right section?
Yes,
You're at 1.2?
Right here, so we're gonna say.
It says establish a committee to establish a community day. We just nixed the whole thing and rewrote it.
Support.
support organizations which organize community events. Anything else under goal 1?
1.3, to involve students from LML Day, that was when they were K
Yeah.
through 8, and they are now just K through 5, so I think it's kind of hard to involve fifth
Oh,
graders even.
So just get rid of that last phrase,
Well-
stop after community members?
Well, they're still community members, no matter where they are all the way
Right.
up through. So, you know, my point would be
Involve students. maybe.
students.
All right,
Students.
so period after students.
How about from RSU 21?
No, you don't want to have,
No.
All right,
No.
fine.
like.
No, because
Community.
some of
Right,
our, a
right.
good portion of our students don't go to RSU 20.
Just involve Arundel students.
Yep.
Or just involve students. Because we could theoretically have somebody from another town who was
Or the college
interested in
or.
going into journalism and wanted to help out with the Arrow, or wouldn't necessarily have to be an Arundel student. It's not likely that will ever happen in our lifetime. But I know it has been
But
discussed.
Simone is wishing.
It's been discussed to death. Anything else to go on?
And what about the Arrow?
Oh, please.
We've got a website.
With the website, we put out one issue of the Arrow in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Is it really worth, you know,
Why
it's
can't
like
the website
flogging
take care
a
of
dead
all that?
horse.
Because
Rather than mailings and what Simone has to do, publish it, and put it out.
somebody could please get me a wall I can bang my head against.
The table will do.
And thank you for your support, John. If you recall, we had a committee that met endlessly and one.
Is that part of it?
Did they do
No,
anything?
no.
There we go.
We
No, but I think there
At
was
least a few
broad
words are
support
small.
for the Arrow.
But one of the major focuses of that, and it's actually foci, but let's not go there. One of the major focal points, there we go, of that committee was communication within the community, and the Arrow came up endlessly. And we acknowledged that even though it was supposed to come out on a bi-monthly basis, it wasn't. But we were functioning pretty well with the quarterly thing. We also recommended that the town clerk not have to be the one who bore the brunt of it. That's obviously not changed. The town manager was very supportive of that approach, but there's only so many hours in the day apparently. And we also discussed that because of the number of elderly and technologically infirm members of this committee, community, that it was unreasonable not to have a hard copy go out. It's not fair. I will fight that until I'm either dead or you force me to move out of town.
Well, I count myself among the latter group that you just described, and I'm not missing the arrow.
No, I like my Arrow.
But you have a computer.
I do.
And I mean, I can give you a long list of people in this town who've been active members in this community for their whole lives who do not have a computer. I can tell you one who doesn't have a television. We can't stop publishing the Arrow as a hard copy.
I don't
It's
have
not
internet at
fair.
the house.
We essentially
I
have
haven't had
stuff
for years.
publishing
I don't
it
have
because
internet.
we don't do it.
Now you have opened the other can of worms, but
It's like an awful lot of stuff in this, these pages of actions. It's like a big pipe dream. We don't have any volunteer help to do it. If you bring up, getting any money for any of this stuff at the budget board, you get run out of town. It's,
well, I think that's
personal
why they're
experience,
called
Joel?
goals. I mean, they would be
It sounds
nice,
like personal experience.
they would be nice to do. And I'm not, you know, the Arrow, I've been fighting for the Arrow a long time. I'm not gonna stop fighting for it, because I think it's a reasonable thing to continue to try to do, even though again, it hasn't been done. We do get one out before election, always. We do.
Did we get one out this fall?
I don't remember.
I want
We
to.
didn't have any local issue in the fall.
Yeah, but when there's local,
Generally, if there's a local issue, we'll put
Yeah.
out a pamphlet or something, an
Yeah.
informational pamphlet.
Well, that's fine, but I mean, it's
You know.
bi-monthly. It just-
would it make you happier if we said regular? I mean, I acknowledge it's not happening on a bi-monthly basis.
Right.
And
And it's,
Well,
it's
I-
gotten to the point where I'm more than willing to do it, but the staff doesn't even want to do it anymore, you know?
well, no one understands that more than
Well,
I.
people say, we need an article from the Arrow, when you call them up and ask for it.
What's that?
When you call people and say, I need an article from the Arrow.
I used to put out an email to all the committees and groups and, you know, staff and things like that,
Usually
you
ends
know.
up right.
And the
That's
staff
right.
ends up writing it, yeah, and I'll get things from, I used to get things regularly from Phil as the scouts.
Scouts,
The
yeah.
scouts, definitely.
Who was cool?
The
But you know
school-
something, that's
no,
part
the
of,
school
as far as
actually
I'm
at the end,
concerned,
I
that's
did
part of
not
their
get
job,
from
is keeping
school.
us informed as to what's going on with the different departments.
That's why we have the website.
Mhm.
But that's the point. The point is, we have a lot of elderly residents who don't have the internet. We sent out a survey, and many, many, many people
Thank you for remembering that.
responded to that survey saying they really liked the Arrow and they wanted it.
And I can produce that
So-
survey and show you the numbers, and they were overwhelming.
This town doesn't represent, I hate to say it, this town doesn't represent the employees. The employees are supposed to represent what the people in this community want. They said they wanted an Arrow. I don't care if it's bi-monthly, quarterly, once a year, I don't care. But I think that we have to, you know, one of our biggest, people always complain about communication, and that's because
There isn't any.
there isn't any.
How about if we put in here a warrant article for the Arrow every year?
A warrant.
Yeah, well, let's get funding for it,
Oh.
so we can do it. Seriously.
Well, it's not just,
It's not
It's
just,
a funding
it's not just the funding,
not
though,
the
the funding.
Sure,
I mean,
it's
it's
a
minimal
question.
cost, it's minimal cost, I mean, when you come down to
It's
it,
time.
it's a couple of reams of paper, it's, you know, a little bit of staff time, and it's 200 and something in postage, it's not a lot, because we do a bulk mailing, so it's not a lot of finances, it's just, I guess the incentive, I can't be, as a town clerk, telling the manager that we need to put out a newsletter.
no, that's the job of
And
the
I think
selectmen.
that's probably, that, you know.
Actually, the town.
What's happening to have one here?
I believe that was the
I was
last.
less than supportive.
So, you know, I guess it'll depend on the new manager, how they feel too, as well as, you know.
And to go back to your point about the internet, I mean, our website is 1,000 times better now than it was when it was first put up. I mean, it used, I swear, a lot less now. It's navigable, you can find useful information on it. However, even though I'm able to use it, it is not a place I go regularly. And when I do go there, I'm usually looking for something specific. And very often what I'm looking for isn't there, but that's not anybody's fault in particular, it's just not there. The Arrow is a,
So then you go look
It's-
for it in the Arrow.
no, well, I can't find it at all because it's
That's
never
right.
empty.
That's my point.
When the Arrow comes out, it's concise, it's focused, and if it's aligned with, as it usually is, some major event in town, like an election, it tells you very quickly and easily what it is that's important or what you need to start thinking about. And I think that's valuable. You can't accomplish that with the website.
I agree with everything you've said, and I think for the sake of the older people who aren't into computers and that kind of thing, it's a very nice thing to do for them. The fact of the matter is, we don't have the help to put it out, it isn't getting put out, and I think it's one of 100 items that are in these action statements that aren't getting done. And are we gonna,
Well,
kid
then maybe we
ourselves
need to
along
find a
here.
way to get it done. If the people in the town want it, which they've stated that they do in the surveys, then maybe it's something that we need to find a way to get it done.
if,
That's why it's a budget issue.
It's
It's
not,
a management issue.
It's a
It's a
management
management issue, but it might be a
Yeah.
budget issue too.
and
No,
it's,
I don't-
you know, if you're gonna put it out quarterly, then you just explain to people by a certain day. I mean, I can't get away with that at work. If they want to give something out at work and my boss sends out something and says, you have to have this written up by this day, it's gotta be done.
Oh, that's not a problem.
I don't get to
It's just
say,
that I
hey.
think, I don't think this manager, the past manager, was into it as much as in the previous managers. So it just kind of, you know, we needed to get something out for elections or whatever, but I don't think as far as on a regular basis, he saw the website as a more active part than the newsletter, so it kind of fell by the wayside. So it would depend on management, again,
So selectmen's manager.
manager and selectmen, if they want to promote it again, I guess, I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad little community paper. It was.
No, I mean, it's always been well thought out, well presented, well done. And I'm not saying that just because I know who did it.
Thank you.
It's been valuable. So it's something that is important to have out there in the community, even if it was
Yeah,
once
because
a year,
I think the
twice a
more
year.
communication, the better. I think
But
people tend to be less, I think it, you know, I think it is a positive thing, because I think if people get the information locally, I think it's better than reading it in the paper when you don't get the information that you really want to put out there.
And the other thing about the Arrow is it would give me information that I would never bother to check on the website. And I'll give you an example, the rec department. I have absolutely no reason on earth to find out what the rec department is doing. But when I get the Arrow, I read it and I say, wow, look at all the cool stuff the rec department is doing. So that builds support from someone like myself who doesn't have children in town, involved in the rec department, to think very favorably about and support the rec department. That doesn't happen on the website. And the same thing would be true, you know, when Roger does his roads report. I read it, and in addition to knowing that the roads are in good shape as I drive on them, I say, wow, you know, I'm impressed with what goes on in our town. And I think that the selectmen are overlooking an ideal opportunity to build better communication and relationships with the townspeople regarding what the people in the town.
You overlook a
actually
lot of stuff. so.
Well, see, now I recognize that, but I usually don't bother saying it.
All right, so I'm gonna change bi-monthly to, getting back to it, right?
Weekly.
On a regular basis. On a
Actually,
regular,
I'd be happy to see it quarterly.
I would just
Say regular.
regular basis.
Regular,
A regular,
yeah.
that's
That's
instead
not,
of bi-monthly.
Yep. Semi-sporadic. We're gonna have to
Along with the
change,
census, every 10 years.
change that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I will dig up that survey.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
the census,
Okay,
just
where
out
are
of
we?
interest.
Did we redo our building permits numbers
Remember?
in line with what the state's saying? Weren't we in our 5th year, did we have to go back and redo the number of building permits? Are we
I
required to do
don't
that?
think we've made it, but in the last few
Do we
years,
have
we
anything
haven't.
else we wanna do? We're gonna be here all night.
Right.
Goal one, are we done?
Which one?
Goal one.
How about something on the website then? If you're gonna do create a sense of community, continue to promote the website with articles about the town.
Well, if you can't get it in Arrow, how are you gonna get it on the website?
Well, actually,
John, I'll let you take this one.
Well, why don't, when you do the Arrow, why don't you just publish the Arrow on the website too?
It is.
Great,
It
it'll be
is.
fast.
All right.
It is on the
Done.
website, isn't it?
Done,
Yes,
on
it
the
is.
website? Yeah.
it's done.
So what do you wanna do with we should mention something about the website.
Mention something about what?
The
the
website,
website.
because it is an electronic arrow kind of thing, it provides information. Or it just has town stuff, that's it, town meetings and stuff like that, and it all depends on what you wanna see on your website.
Put all news, add
Yeah.
in printed in web format.
Well, no, because sometimes stuff goes in that website that's not in the Arrow. The Arrow is
Exactly, yeah.
So if we say continue to publish the Arrow on a regular basis and utilize the website to provide news, would that work?
Okay, so we won't have action 1.8 about the website.
I probably would have put it as a separate one, because they were kind of like,
I think so too,
I
there.
think kind of two separate beasts.
Okay.
So I've got it as action 1.8.
Continue to support putting information on the website.
Continue to get, no, not continue.
Utilize, you can say utilize the
Utilize
website.
the town website to provide news of local events and town government activities.
How about post the town website?
Okay.
Or
Do
post community events. And anything else?
Events,
And
and you said
news.
town. Well, I don't know if I put news, I would put town.
Information.
Yeah,
Information,
information.
because you don't want to get in the reporting business.
Well, the EDC posts business openings. Who just opened the business, they post that on the
That's still information.
website. Yep, that works.
So information regarding local events and town government activities. Use that same phrase for 1.1.
Post local events and town government activities on the town website. Yep,
Okay. well,
copy it right from one.
Well, I mean, community events, I think sounds more,
Mhm.
Yeah, because we're required to
Oh,
post
okay, community, oh, I
governmental
see,
stuff
okay.
on that level. That's a requirement.
so put community events, comma, information, comma, and town government activities.
We have to do that, so. I mean, the idea is a greater sense of community, and we post it like to meet our legal obligations, so. But if you want to put that one, just shut up. You don't want to argue. And governmental.
And town government activities.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll look at this one more time and we'll change that next time, I'm sure. Okay, Policy 2,
Crime watch?
what?
Crime watch?
We didn't finish.
Yeah, you jumped over, I was lost for about 2 minutes there, then I was like, what the heck? You
Yeah,
go
we-
ahead,
We're gonna public access, Jim?
adult ed.
Are you gonna do the
We don't have
public
it.
access, Jim?
Oh, yes, good
Strike
point.
that.
We didn't finish one.
Yeah, we haven't finished one.
I was kind of hoping we had. It's all right, though.
So is I, see.
14 pages of this. Okay, so are we, I take it we're
1.3, now we're on 1.4.
trashing 1.5?
Yes.
Well, even on 1.4, I don't know if expand the programs of the rec department. I think it'd be, thank you, exactly what I was thinking.
Well,
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 yeah, because she expands them
she
all the
does
time.
expand them, yeah.
right, but
But
that's
I-
within her power, that's not,
You're supporting the expansion without.
Yeah, what you're saying is expand it, so that's a fun, that's also a directive to both the selectmen, the budget board, and to the townspeople. This is what we're approving, we want to expand our recreation programs.
How about instead of saying the second action about it reestablishing adult ed, expand the programs of the rec department for youth and adults in the community?
they already do adults, don't they?
Not very, very
She's
little, a
attempted a
few
number of
trips.
times, but none of them worked out.
A few trips and that's it.
Because they're all home reading the arrow.
See, there's another reason.
Bring back issue.
Waiting
Go
for the
home,
arrow.
waiting down at the end of the driveway with the arrow to be delivered.
And she already has the ability to expand the programs in the rec department, she just needs to make sure that it pays for itself.
Yeah, but I think that idea about expanding it to include adults is not a bad one. And then we can get rid of 1.5.
Right.
One thing we always have to remember when we're looking at this is this was in.
Well,
this
those are
was
two
in
different things,
response
rec and adult
to-
ed, those are two different, one's educational,
what the findings
one's
were
fun.
in the inventory. So in the inventory section of this comp plan, which we haven't changed, it said that we had an underdeveloped recreation program, which is why this is in here.
I don't know.
But it's not
We don't
under
anymore.
But not anymore.
Yeah.
That's
But we
why.
haven't updated the
So
inventory
support-
section.
Support then and instead of expand.
Point is, we haven't updated the inventory
Yeah.
section.
We
So-
did that only if we had a rectory.
So put
That's right.
support the programs?
I would do support the programs, I don't know that we want to
I-
expand it any much further than we already have.
I kind of agree, support makes more sense at this point.
But I would add for youth and adults, I don't know.
Yeah.
But rec department doesn't label it to
No.
one thing.
Right.
It just
Yeah,
leaves it
that's
as
true.
rec departments, you could do,
Right, anyone.
you
Yeah,
could do
members.
babies, kids, adults.
Dogs.
It's not,
Dogs.
I would tell her that.
Oh, please.
Daycare, yeah.
Okay, we're going to get rid of 1.5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put support.
That's
That's
relevant,
support.
that's reestablishing the adult ed program, okay. We still in favor of a crime watch program?
Did we get
That's,
rid of the
I think when I moved into town, I saw signs that said we were a crime watch community. Of course, it was stolen.
I was just gonna say, that's exactly what happened, there was one on the Limerick Road, in front of our neighbor's
All
house.
right, we took
Signs
1.5 out, is
Yes.
that what we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is 1.6 still a reasonable goal, if we get heavier something?
That's
We're gonna contract that for the standard 24/7.
I just take out the 38, I don't need anything more. The 357.
The deputy's missing.
That's good.
Maybe it was the
We're
neighbors.
good, I think we can move on, Donna.
Well, what did we decide about crime watch, is that staying?
That was it.
I take it out.
Oh, I don't know, we're gonna get crime, someday we're gonna, we're gonna want that crime watch.
I have no problem leaving it in, it's not a
Do they
bad
still
goal.
do that, crime watch program?
Maryland, we don't want this.
It was
Okay.
funded for a
Last time I heard
while.
of the crime watch, I
watched the
think it was
news, that's-
Trayvon Martin, when he got shot by Zimmerman, who was part of the crime watch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect
At least
solution.
they put us up
At least
now.
go ahead and start. Okay,
Leave it, or what? Are we leaving?
let's leave it for this
Okay.
time, this go around.
Okay.
We may think better of it next year in March. Policy 2.
How about
What about
1.7 is,
I
yeah,
think that should get heaved.
yes.
Extra right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, public access channels are not available really that easily for us in Arundel. I don't know if you see them sometimes.
I don't think we're gonna spend a winter.
Plus, I mean, everything you read in the paper, cable TV is on the way downhill, everybody is
So we wanna be
moving
ahead of that
to,
curve.
Right.
Right.
yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix and Hulu
Okay.
and all that type of stuff.
So what we want is our own Netflix channel.
Shall we write that in and see if
I
anybody
dare you,
notices?
I dare you.
Okay,
Well,
what,
should we, at this point, we didn't have a website before, so make better use of our website to
Public
promote,
communication.
Well, that's what we did as 1.8. If you look behind you, we already put it as
utilize the
1.8.
website, so,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
all right, so
fine.
1.7
Strike it.
gone?
Yeah,
So 1.8 is now 1.6.
Okay, good. Good that.
Shorter already?
Shorter document.
And we
What
added
was
one.
Here's the,
A lot older by the time
have you seen
we're
the
done.
page
Shorter document.
decreasing anyway? I haven't. This is,
I've seen it by one line.
Uh,
it's gonna go by one.
are we ready for goal 2?
Yep.
Sure.
Excellent. All right. We have to go through these one at a time, I guess. 2.1, we okay with that?
I'd leave it, I would just add list vacancies on town boards and committees in the arrow and
And
the
website.
website.
Yeah.
Right, because they'll be filled by the time the arrow comes out.
Not if one of the vacancies is
And
somebody
the
taking
town,
the
and
arrow.
the town website,
Okay, number 2.
town website.
Oh, God, I'm gonna have to make another line. There we go. Okay.
Number 3. Never gonna happen, but
2.0.
Why don't we
Always a
leave
good
it, it's
wish.
not gonna happen. Why don't we pull it out?
Where are we up to now, anyway?
2.3, include
2.3.
profiles of board and committee members in the arrow to highlight their contributions to the community.
Has never happened,
Never has.
no.
It's a nice idea, I like it. Piece of paper. I'm doing it on the website. Members in the arrow on the website? On the website? Might happen on the website.
Well, you know, the problem is, who is gonna write this stuff up?
Mhm.
That's, if it gets written
I
up, you
don't
can
know
put it
that
in
you
the
have
arrow
to
and
have
on
it
the
as a
website.
specific
but-
thing, they can always do it either on the website or on in the arrow if they want to, but I don't know that we need to direct them to do it.
Well, considering it's been a goal for how many years now and it's never been done, the odds of it happening spontaneously are probably absolutely nil.
I don't know, maybe it would, if we take it out.
What's the recommendation? Stay or go?
I
We
would
haven't
say
done
take
it,
it
if
out.
we haven't done it this long, I think it's just,
List opportunities for volunteer efforts.
we're gonna leave 2.2 in there though?
It's clash time.
We're
It
leaving
doesn't hurt to put
Yeah,
down
okay.
here, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go like this, attaboy.
I mean, we have, well, last year we did Phil Tashro, which volunteered for years as a scout
Yes,
master,
that's
so.
actually
And
happened.
we've done it with Henry Tilton, we've done it with different community members, so, yeah, I think it happens.
List
Yeah.
opportunities
Dedication
for
of it.
As long as,
volunteer
you know,
efforts
he
in
can
the
either do it
community,
if we die, or.
in the arrow and on the website?
So we're not striking. Wait a
No.
second.
And on website number 4, 2.4.
if you wanna shorten up, if we wanna shorten up 2, so you don't have to put it on 2 lines, because you complained about it, could
Well,
we,
I'm good with
could we
that.
say list vacancies on boards and committees in the arrow and town website instead of and the? List vacancies on town boards, list vacancies on boards, you don't need the town, we should already know it's town. On boards and committees in the arrow, and there you go.
Opportunities for volunteer efforts.
Get rid of the word town.
You can actually combine 2.4 in there.
2.4, last call, list opportunities for volunteer efforts in the community, in the arrow and on the website.
How about community volunteer
Take
efforts?
off 2.4.
I think community volunteers, Ted's got a point, it's a little better wording, the list
Yeah.
opportunities for volunteer efforts.
List opportunities for community volunteers.
In the community? No.
List opportunities for community volunteer efforts in the arrow and on the website, okay. I don't think things opportunities so much as the short straw. Reestablish the position of volunteer coordinator.
No.
Did we ever have one?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
we did a
It was
long time
Heidi Gagnon.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, and she was good. And then she quit.
Probably quit, but I don't have any volunteers to coordinate anymore.
She quit because she couldn't get any cooperation from anybody or any support. So she's, why am I doing this?
Oh, we might as well just strike it.
Strike it.
In the Arrowin town website.
All right. 2.5 is gone.
2.5 is gone.
Yes. And 2.6 should be gone because
Okay,
we have no
2.5
control
is
of the
done.
curriculum.
Right.
Okay, well, we pretty much filled the volunteers, that's good.
Well, volunteerism, is there any other things that we should be adding?
Yes, if you volunteer, you get a year of free property taxes.
Oh, my
Oh my God.
Oh, my
Can we do that retro? For that, not quite.
Well, this is.
If we did a retro, I wouldn't have to pay taxes for the rest of my
We'd
life.
be independently wealthy overnight.
You would have people knocking down the doors.
Yes.
Yes, you would.
Well, then it's not a volunteer. It's an employee.
Well, no, not really. You have to volunteer to give up your property taxes. Okay, that's obviously not. I don't know of anything we can put in this document that is in any way going to change volunteerism in a positive way.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
It's a, yeah.
Unless we said, establish a, short straw policy. Take a straw, oh, you just volunteered.
Drafting.
Get
So
rid of the
we're
food.
talking about impressment.
That's
That's
it.
about the only way you're gonna get it.
Goal three.
How about lifetime
List everybody in town,
society?
so the age of 18, we need a volunteer, then you start going down. Okay, you volunteered? You're being volunteered? Okay. You want to go on the list?
Service, that'd be nice.
It's sort of like jury duty.
Community, yeah, kind of like community jury duty, yeah. You've been picked.
My father was in the army, I understand. Town investment facilities and service should be prioritized in the growth area where feasible. Is there anything we want to do with section 3?
What's up?
That was section 3, there were 2 pieces, so.
Should that include any mention of like the sewer part, any, development?
That's an infrastructure.
That's
Yeah.
infrastructure, okay.
Okay.
So this is just facilities and services should be prioritized.
Goal 4, maintaining rural character, establish land use districts as part of future land use plan and then land use ordinance.
So we left everything in the,
Yeah.
in the resident growth areas?
Both of it. Goal 5,
Wait a second, what are we amending?
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, she's
well,
going.
it's only one action in goal 4, so.
And we've been doing it.
We've been doing it, so.
Yeah.
We just don't stop doing it.
Right.
That should be
Establish
excellent.
a land use district as provided for in the regional plan.
Using articles in the arrow.
And town website.
Okay, that takes care of 5.1. 5.2.
Just wondering,
5.2, does that apply to you guys? Did they literally?
We don't send out letters to potential qualifying individuals, do we, Simone?
Pardon?
We don't send letters to potentially qualifying individuals for land use, do
So
we?
it shouldn't be in it.
So it
Well,
should-
just because it isn't being done doesn't mean it shouldn't be.
Well, we do, we send out a postcard reminder every year which says that your second half of taxes is due.
No, 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 no.
And that you can apply
5.1,
for,
no,
that you can apply
Okay, yes.
for homestead exemption, veterans exemption, farm and open space, tree growth, blah, 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 by April 1st of every year. So
Okay.
we do tell people.
right, but I don't know that that's necessarily a letter to a qualifying individual.
No.
No, it isn't. Nor is it necessarily encouraging, but.
Right.
No.
It's just-
You guys see what the governor plans to do to tree growth?
I know. It's like,
Same thing he wants to do with, whatever you wanna call the money that's
So you're
supposed to
adding
come
one
back
sign
to
on there,
us.
right, Tad, is that what we're doing?
Or find some way to
I'm
spend
still
it
waiting
in
to see if this
Augusta.
is gonna survive.
Hmm.
I'm not sure it's
That's
surviving.
good, it's changed a little bit.
We change it, is Article 5 surviving, or is it just gonna be modified? Because sending letters to potential qualifying individuals.
Take
Well,
that out.
I would like to leave that, not that I think it's ever gonna happen, but I mean, we have kind of hinted to that in our RC language. We said, additionally, the town should provide information to eligible landowners regarding programs such as, so,
Consistent.
this kind of backs it up in a different.
Okay. And he
This is
added the
supposed to be
website, so I think it's
solicitation.
okay.
Not always a bad thing. And we're doing, 5.2, we're doing applications, should legally construe program requirements. 5.3, establish a transfer of development rights program, which we also hinted at, and we should still have, so we should probably leave that in case it ever happens.
I don't understand 5.2. What do you mean the assessor should liberally construe
I don't either.
program requirements? I mean, she
Well-
tells them what it is, period.
He's-
Liberally construe?
That- I believe there is some latitude, and always has been. Now, maybe that's been tightening up in recent years, but basically, I think the intent of that was to be, if you're going to, and you have a judgment call, err on the side of the landowner as opposed to the side of the state.
Well, usually what happens is there's no error, and you tell the landowner what to do. The landowner does the decision. They get their forester, and they get their certifications, and then Beth just goes through and says, yep, you met this, you met this, you met this. It isn't, there's not that much flexibility.
I think the farm and open space has a little bit more flexibility.
All you have to prove you have 2,000, you produce $2,000 worth of product from your farm.
Or that you allow.
Open
people-
spaces, you just keep it in open
Open
space.
space, yeah.
There's no qualifying for that, you say you're gonna do it. Tree farm and farming, you have to qualify.
Right.
Open space, no.
No.
Well, but the farmland and open space is one program,
Mhm.
it's not just open space.
No, there are two programs. The farmland is separate from open space.
No,
No.
it's
It's not just
considered,
open, well, then tell me how Nature Conservancy has huge tracts of land, they're in open space.
right.
They
But I
have
think
farming.
it's
There's
a
They have farming and
agriculture.
they're not
It's
tree
a farm
farming.
and open space program, so I think the
There's
application
a
is.
separation between the two, between
Well,
open
there's
space.
agriculture and then there's open space.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
but, yeah, but it's just one application type program, it's not a separate farm program and a special open space program, it's a farm and open space program, as opposed to the tree growth program.
But I think agriculture is different too. because you
Agriculture
have
is
to-
different, you have to produce receipts of $2,000 a year, I've gone through.
I know, I just
Right,
had.
but I think in her
Yeah, do that.
classifications, I don't think she has a classification for just farm, I think it's, you know what I mean? I
No, it's
think-
agriculture.
Agriculture.
That's why I had to send her
Yeah, but
paperwork
it's
today.
called farmland and open space, that's the name of the program. But you
Okay,
have an agricultural product on that
Right.
farmland.
okay.
But I might be also under the farm and open space program, but I don't produce anything, but I'm leaving my land to open space. So, but it's in the same vein, you know what I mean, yeah.
Which still leaves us with the question of what are we going to do with 5.2, if anything.
I would take it out. I think we're getting into somebody's job description,
Yeah.
and that makes me a little,
Census, 5.2 goes? Reword it. I don't know. We can accomplish anything by rewording it, because I'm not quite sure what we were supposed to accomplish in the first place.
I know.
All right. 5.3, transfer and development rights program,
I just leave it.
to be there if we're ever gonna do it.
We won't have to add it. I mean, we've already said we'd like to do it, it's there if we want to.
Policy 6, amend the subdivision regulations to require notes on subdivision plans in the designated rural areas to alert potential lot purchasers that the area has been designated by the town for forestry and agricultural purposes, and that the residents may be subject to disturbance from these activities.
I think we
Good
should nix
sentence.
that.
Did you write that one, Tom?
I don't know, but I like it.
Oh, my gosh.
Ah,
It's called right to farm,
Oh, let's leave it.
yeah, I think it's fine.
that's a state law.
Yeah.
The
you
state
know,
law.
choice.
Well, no wonder you like it.
Yeah.
Gee.
I didn't realize that.
Okay. I think 7.1 should go away.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, we shouldn't be in the land business.
no. I mean, if we wanna purchase it for our own town uses, that's fine, but
I know that 7.2 is,
7.1 is gone.
establish a working relationship between the town and Kennybunk Land Trust to ensure that the land trust acquisition policy recognizes the desired development priorities of this plan.
Take it out.
Does that make sense to keep?
Not to me.
We'll be taxing them soon.
So did you take 7.1 out, Paul?
Yeah. One is gone.
One's gone,
Okay.
I'm waiting to do a clean sweeper.
What, 7.2,
Take it out.
keep it?
I take it out. So I don't know that we wanna dictate to one particular one.
They're not gonna let us dictate anything about
No,
their
they don't-
acquisition policy. Nothing.
It's all
7.2.
negotiation.
No, really.
7.3, publicize the location of land currently set aside as conservation land.
I
Why?
don't think we should, yeah.
Why?
Well, it's on our maps.
Publicize
No, it
the
isn't.
location.
Well,
It's on, I gotta dig it out for you, if you wanna see it.
Well, as a member of the public, I can come and find out.
Yes.
Okay, so it.
But are we talking about
you're talking about
conservation land, or
publicized.
are we talking about pieces
I'm-
of
yeah, no, I
property
understand,
and
I understand.
conservation?
Conservation land always mean that it's in a trust where the public can access it.
Right.
So as a public person, and if you've got your land in a conservation, and I can have access to ski over it, cross-country ski or utilize it because they're getting a, tax shelter, or whatever you wanna call it, I'd like to know where that spot is, so I can go cross-country ski and know I'm not gonna get shot.
Those are two different issues.
Well, but, no, it says listed.
It depends upon how.
I'd like to see it on the map. Right?
Depends on what we mean by conservation.
Yeah,
That's, the question is, what's the definition of conservation?
And the land trusts
I don't know what your definition of it is.
is. Is.
And just because they put it in conservation doesn't always necessarily mean that it's open to everybody, does it?
Kennebunk sometimes restricts access.
yeah, it depends upon what
Depends
you
on
look
what's
in the
there.
easement.
What they're
Just
trying
because
to
it's an
preserve.
easement doesn't mean there's public access.
Well, if we say we're gonna publicize it in the Arrow, no one will ever know.
Actually, we're hiding it.
Alright. Well, going back up to the policy on number 7, it says, work with land trusts and state agencies to establish and fund a program for
Yeah, but we haven't decided to
acquisition.
leave anything yet. That
Right,
may be gone.
I know, well, we talk about, development rights up top, but we're talking about funding.
See, I
That's
think
different.
all of 7 ought to go.
Well, 7.4 is good,
Yeah, 7.4 is good.
Yeah,
7.5 is good.
no,
No,
I
No,
like 7.5.
no.
not reverse mortgages.
And I'm not even sure it should be left up to the planning board to identify areas for conservation land. I mean,
Well, who else is
Who's-
there?
who's
We don't
gonna
have a
conserve it, the
conservation
town?
committee. We don't have a conservation commission.
right.
So,
Who's gonna conserve it? The town? The town doesn't have any money. So is
If it
planning
gets the
board-
property owner.
yeah, it says the town can work with property
The
owners
benefit.
before applications are submitted for development programs. It could be anything. It could be
Yeah, but
trades.
they'd have to get to them before they submit their proposals. I mean, that's.
Usually it
that's
happens
just
at the
not
same
gonna-
time. Well, what happens is before they submit, they come and see us. I spend a lot of time with people who are in the process of thinking about how to develop their land. When they finally come to the planning board with the submission, there's been a lot of prep work prior to that submission. So, yeah, is it done by our office? Yeah, a lot of that's done by our office. So it might not be the planning board, but we say planning board because
So should we take 7.4 and just bump it up to 5?
I'm just,
And, yeah, and
Yes.
then do away with 7 and just
Yeah.
put 7.4 as 5.4, 5.3, whatever.
yeah, well, we got rid of 5.2, so it would be
Yeah.
5.3.
Yeah,
You know,
All right, so we're gonna get rid of 7.3. We're gonna keep 7.4.
And make
but
it
five,
5.
bring it up to 5.
But that's maximizing incentives to retain property in traditional rural uses. It's not necessarily preservation.
What are you talking about?
Well, traditional rural uses aren't necessarily preservation. This is talking about preservation.
Well, transfer of development rights would also fall
Yeah.
under that same category.
Yeah.
Well, we want to put it under future land use plan.
Well, what if we just change the policy from maximize incentives to retain property in traditional rural uses to maximize incentives to retain property and finish
I know, I
that for
can't
me.
see the head- I can't see the
We're
heading.
working on it.
I can't see the heading to tell you what it says.
Um,
Okay, maximize incentives to.
retain property.
Property and traditional.
Why don't you just end it at maximize incentives to retain, or why would you do incentives? There's no incentives.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because
there
the
are
transfer of
those.
development rights program is an incentive.
Okay.
And so is the farm and open space and tree growth.
Right.
Those are incentive programs.
Why wouldn't you just do maximize incentives to retain property?
Well,
Period.
because this property's not going anywhere, and they put a house on it.
Right, but it says in traditional rural uses.
Yeah, that's the part we need to change, retain property.
Well, maybe just for open space and,
For open space and conservation?
yeah, because that's all you're talking about in
Yeah.
here. I don't know why we're traditional rural uses come in here, because we're talking about open space preservation.
Yeah. Well,
So
that,
we're saying to.
that and tree growth.
But that's still.
That's still open space. All right,
Growing
maximize,
trees is better than growing houses, right?
policy, this is the first step, actually. Policy 5 is maximize incentives to retain property for open space and conservation. And then we kept 5.1, and we kept 5.3, and we're gonna move 7.4 into that. And then we're gonna lose policy 7 completely. Get rid of 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.5. So that means that that has to change the numbers on all the rest of the
Oh,
policies.
it's fun to do that.
Okay. Policy 8.
Wait a second, whoa, let me catch up.
Well, we'll talk while you number. Maintain the aesthetic nature of the Route 111 corridor as an area of agriculture and forested lands. Amend the land use ordinance to allow no more than one driveway or street entrance onto Route 111 from any currently existing lot west of the CMP right of way.
I think that's a DOT.
That's not even us, that's a DOT.
All right, so we can just take that out?
Yep.
Amend the land use ordinance to require all new buildings in the corridor protection area that are visible from Route 111 to meet minimum architectural standards.
Hang on, I think somebody, and I gotta go.
Okay.
Okay, I was doing clerical stuff. Where are we? We're on policy 8, maintain
We just got rid of 8.1.
Because that's DOT's already taken that over.
I don't think we ever had any control over it.
Good Lord. That's-
Thank you, I'll make sure you get it back.
Death knell.
No problem. Tell them I feel better.
Oops.
And,
So, one's gone, 8.1's gone.
yep,
And 8.2 is,
well, 8.2 is irrelevant too, because we have design standards for everything else under the sun. There's gonna be design standards there too.
right?
So, I'd say, let's get rid of 8.2, and I think that's the only place we refer to the corridor protection overlay, so that gets rid of that.
Well, we gotta get, no, it's in the,
I know it's in the comp plan.
you gotta take it out then.
Paragraph.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
gotta take it out. I mean, if you're gonna take it out, you can't take this out without taking that out.
Right.
Because this is the implementation of that.
They both go.
Well, so the objective is to take that corridor out of there.
I
Is that
think
what you're
so.
saying?
So policy 8's gone.
Well,
I mean,
the corridor's gone,
This
I
is
just
never,
wanted to know that.
this has never been enforced anyway.
No,
Well-
it hasn't.
Neither is the arrow we published.
This would probably be enforced. if we
The arrow's
wrote
been
an article
published,
for the
yeah,
arrow,
this has
but
been
that hasn't
enforced.
happened.
No, the planning board said they wanna breathe, they wanna live, they don't wanna do this.
So we're getting rid of 8 completely?
I think so.
So if you're gonna do that, we gotta get rid of the other one.
Is there any reason we shouldn't do that?
I'm just asking,
And that was what I was doing, was asking you.
do I think that? I don't know. It's not my policy. Do you think, was there strong support for this?
No.
No.
There's some support for it.
There was some support.
Yeah. There's still some support, sitting right here.
Okay.
Well, then, jump in.
I mean, I just think that, you know, having some minimum architectural standards out there is, to keep that corridor looking the way it is a benefit to the community. Now, people are gonna say, oh, that's just the east-west guys coming from Sanford and Bedford and what have you, why are we benefiting them? But I drive it all the time, you
Yeah.
drive it.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that there should be architectural standards. My only argument is that the planning board has built in these design standards and architectural standards every place in town, pretty much.
They haven't done it for this yet, because
Not
they didn't
this,
do it.
no.
Yeah. They haven't gotten to this yet.
But they will.
But if we leave this in here, they'll do that.
Okay.
They're if you get rid of this, then there's no reason for them to put in architectural standards in this district. The only reason they would do that is they would have to do it in all of R4, and not just this specific area. And then on top of that, what they currently do enforce is only the agricultural demonstration project, which, you know, we're
Right.
one of. And that was and that was successful. I would say that was a successful implementation of that. Relatively successful. Better than we had hoped.
How about if we change the policy, instead of naming the specific 111 corridor, maintain the aesthetic nature of agricultural and forest lands, and then set architectural standards to be, so that, you know, like, you have the River Road, that's another R4 area. Why should it be limited just to the Route 111 corridor when you're driving down the River Road? I think all standards should be the same. I mean, I don't think it's fair to enforce it just in one corridor, because there's a lot of traffic there. Then, you know, Senate Road, River Road, those are all kind of rural roads.
We can make that argument.
You make that, if you say that, it's gonna
That
apply
was a
everywhere.
good
Right.
argument.
It's not gonna be just those roads, it'll be everywhere.
Within
It'll be
all of
Pine
the
Street, it'll be Clearview, it'll be.
Well, agriculture and forested lands, so you're not necessarily talking about developments. You're talking about open space areas. So if you're driving along, you know, I don't know, I'm just making a point that should we just limit it to 111?
Should it apply to arterials in, all arterials in R4? Or what will be RC?
I think that would make more sense.
It's a big step, guys.
What's that?
It's a big step. And that's architectural standards along all roads. Because the way we define arterials right now, it's just about everything.
All right, well, is there a way to define it? Or, what would be the word that would make it apply to the major road, like River Road, for example?
You define which roads.
Okay,
That's the way you do
because I don't think, if somebody's got, a road with 3 houses on it in the back of the woods, I don't think we need to go there.
it. Exactly.
But in terms of the major routes through town,
Right.
Right.
I think I could argue enthusiastically for having no architectural standards on the basis of the fact that it's your land and you should be able to do whatever you darn well please on it.
Yep.
But if we're going to have architectural standards, then what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It should apply to everyone, not just to a particular section of town. So it's, one extreme or the other, I could defend.
Unless we call it the gateway, right? Did we not kind of do that when we labeled Route 1
Route 1.
gateway?
Yeah.
Did we not do that?
Well, yes, but then it becomes a whole different district.
See, it's just like, to me, I think we definitely need more architectural standards on Route 1 than we do on 111 at this time. But Route 1 has no architectural standards, and I think,
Looks like it.
It looks like
You
it.
can tell.
It does, you know, and I
It's
mean,
a nice point.
Well, a lot of the property
Yeah.
on Route 1 needs tall fences.
you know.
Architectural standards, other side.
I think, if I may say, I think what we've run into is once again that buzzsaw of Route 111, which is, many people have identified as being an important visual area for them.
Yeah.
And it has character, it has unique character that's unmatched elsewhere in the town, and that somebody found value. The decision makers at that time find value. I still find some value, and there I find the same thing on River Road. As you remember, I proposed, you know, that area being a specialized district too, for the same reason. There's something special there. It's the way the landscape is, it's the way the architecture is, it's the way, the interaction between the landscape, the architecture, and the forest, how it comes in and out. You have vistas and you have closed in. It's a sequence through there. It's the same thing with Route 111. It's unique in the entire Route 111 corridor. There aren't too many other places like it.
Well, that's true, yeah.
It really is true.
Yeah, having traveled that whole length
Yeah.
for a number of years.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's pretty much in agreement, we should keep it in effect for 111. I think the real question is, should it apply to, you know, other areas in town as well?
Well, that'll be a big step. And
Yeah.
the question the planning board's gonna have to grapple with is, what are architectural standards we're trying to achieve? And we'll be trying to maintain what character? You know, in a forested area along, let's say, Thompson Road, where Thompson Road disappears into the woods, you know, what are the standards that you'd want to put in there? Are those the same standards you use out on Route 111? Route 111 is big buildings in many cases, not all the time, but
Yeah.
farm buildings, mainly farm buildings.
Yeah,
So they're larger buildings than normal residents. They have a certain character. It's very simple New England architecture, vernacular architecture in most cases. Wayne Perry's house wouldn't qualify, would it?
no, we don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at some of the more modern architecture that you see in there, or some of the period architecture from the 90s or the 80s, wouldn't fit that mold. So the planning board's gonna have a huge grappling session with this. And when we move off of the Route 111 corridor and into Thompson Road or Limerick Road, think about Limerick Road. What character are we gonna call Limerick Road? It has different character in different areas.
Right. Well,
And in fact, the planning board even grappled with the ARD, our beloved ARD district. They wanted to divide it into two separate districts, or two subdivisions of that district, because they said, we got the small lot, small cluster area, then we got the big undeveloped lots. How can we put the same standards in both of those districts? And they basically bit the bullet to make deadlines and said, okay, we'll consider it all one. We don't like it, but that's the way we're gonna do it.
But isn't one of the problems the fact that this town is as old as it is? So you're going to have always a mix of houses that were built in the late 1700s, the early 1800s, you know, pick every 20 or 30 years, and you have a progression of different styles. So if we look at 111, which period do you pick? You know, you want all the houses to look like they were built in 1820, or you want all the houses to look like they were built in 1950?
That's-
Or would you be better off saying, it's your property, build what you would like? You know?
Yeah, and
But
those are all
paint
valid
the sun
arguments
gun.
right there. What's the archetype?
Right?
What's the archetype we're trying to
It's a
hit,
paint on
since
it.
we're talking about arc? What's the archetype that we're trying to achieve? When you're saying that it has visual quality, what's that archetype? Is that, what kind of farmhouse? Is it an 1820 farmhouse? Is it a farmhouse with a certain pitch?
But I don't
And we've
know,
got Kate's, which isn't even a New England architecture.
I don't know that it's the building that makes the difference, as much as it is the landscape.
I think it's both.
Well, to an extent, yes.
I think they work.
Well, all right, let me rephrase that. It's not the type of building, it's the lack of buildings.
In some cases, yes.
So
You're right,
if
it's the
you,
lack of building, or how that building sits in the landscape.
if we continue to pick on that particular
Yeah.
spot that you targeted before, with a house that's not of the right period for that area, opposite Kate's Butter, all right, that's a, 30-acre parcel, basically,
Yeah, with 3 houses.
originally,
Yeah.
with, 2 houses and a good-sized garage, so 3 major buildings. If that had been left completely open, we would have a different impression of that area than we have right now. now we have, all right, 3 major buildings. If we change the configuration of those buildings, or if we change the architectural style of the buildings, would it fundamentally make a difference in how you viewed that open area? I know it wouldn't for me.
Oh, yeah.
I still look at it, see 3 buildings.
It's how they lay in the landscape.
I agree.
To a certain extent, yes.
Well, let's take a look at North Chapel. Here's an example, we've got 3 historic structures right now. You know, unless you're a student of vernacular architecture, you don't really know from the road because they're so set back. But what preserves that area right there, right now, what preserves that feel of openness there, is they're set way back, right? They're set back in a phalanx, but they're way back along the property line.
Right.
So you, in the foreground area, you have all that open space, it's all untouched. So you get that feeling of spaciousness there, that's why.
And that's sort of what my argument is. I'm probably not saying it well. If you take 2 similar sized buildings,
Right.
put them in the same place, but make them look different, it's not gonna make a difference because that open space in front sets the stage. That was my point.
Yeah, I
So,
think,
I
it's
think there's
more,
a difference between the building that, I don't know the folks who own it, the one that sets back across the river, got the farm porch
Yellow
on
one?
it, and all those
The yellow, yep.
Yeah.
You see the difference between, God bless Queens, I mean, there's a distinction
You
here.
better
right?
believe it.
yeah,
There,
there is.
I'm not arguing
Yeah.
that.
I'm not arguing.
But again, if
Not more.
person A wants his kind of house and that's what he can afford, and person B wants this house and that's what they can afford, they should be allowed to do it. You know, and if I wanted to put up a new house, and you said, well, you know, you have to have an old-fashioned porch that wraps around the house, you
I
know.
wasn't gonna go that far, I'm just, to your point, I'm just saying, if I look at that house, that's more pleasing visually, at least to me.
And I will not disagree with you, but my bottom line is, one is more pleasing to me, the other isn't. I don't own either one or pay the taxes on them.
Yep.
All I get to do is
I know,
look,
that's
and
always a
that's where my privileges stop.
Yep.
No, I mean, we can go on all night
Yeah, I know
arguing
we
about
can.
this, but
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think that's where it stops, but that's another.
That's the whole issue of public landscape and what the public good is in the landscape there. There's, you know, it's
Well,
it's what a community wants to do with that. Because
Right.
there's more than enough legal, there have been more than enough legal cases which establish that that is part of the community's right to be able to establish landscape.
It's like setting McDonald's in Freeport, that they can put it in an old house as opposed to making it look at the golden arches and stuff. You know, you can tell people to a certain extent,
If you choose to,
Yeah.
you don't
If
have
you
to.
choose
The
to.
point is, if it's that valuable, you choose to do it. And the question is, you're gonna basically surrender somebody else's property rights for this. Which is why we wanna go with incentive zoning to try to enforce that in the RC district in the future, saying, yeah, we're gonna take certain rights that you might have automatically, that you can put your house within this footprint if you do this and this, and we're gonna give it to you by giving you an incentive of, we're gonna give you extra density or something. But, you know, what Tom's saying is if it's the town's desire to do that, we can establish standards that would accomplish this. The planning board hasn't taken it on, because it's a third rail to them.
As well it should be.
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
No, it isn't easy.
All right, well, so we don't spend the rest of our days on this.
Right.
For the time being, shall we keep 8.2 and, you know, policy 8 and 8.2 as it is, and create our third back burner? Something that we need to go back and revisit, you know, do we want to do this on some other roads? Do we want to change this in some way? So get rid of 8.1 because it's irrelevant, the DOT controls it anyway.
Right. Well, they actually don't, they can't control it to that level. We were exercising more control than DOT does. Because if push comes to shove with DOT, they'll give you more than one. It's actually the distances between driveways they're concerned with. And there's some properties in here, you know, that they've got like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 3,000 square feet of frontage.
Yeah.
The DOT can't tell you, oh, you only can put one driveway. They just can't. They can pretend that, but they're bluffing. It's distances between driveways.
so should we leave one? Or
No, I mean, the question is, that's a very, very constrictive.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, Okay, so we're
That,
gonna do
that I
it.
I would really scream if it's a property owner, that one more than I would about architectural stuff. Because that's really limiting my use of my land,
Okay.
so I agree with that.
All right, goal 9. The only thing that jumped out there at me that we need to fix for our purposes is 9.2 refers to commercial and urban residential. So that should say R1 instead of urban residential. And maybe it should say R1 and R2, but, or just say residential areas.
Residential areas, yeah.
Let's keep it in the, R1 and R2.
So.
Residential areas, remember, we've got residents in mixed use.
Okay.
We're gonna go there, but I like the idea of the R1 and R2.
All right. So commercial and R1 and R2 areas only.
What's the deal with 9.8? Is this Pine Tree Development Zone something that
I
we're?
think we were gonna get rid of
It's
that.
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, we took
The
that
whole
out
state's a
last time.
pine tree zone.
Whole state is.
Yeah. What originally, Baldacci is initiated as basically like enterprise zones were,
Okay.
which Reagan realized wasn't gonna work, so he abandoned that. What pine tree zones were they provided certain benefits that the state could provide you. And then they realized, hey, we need business so badly, anywhere is good enough. They were gonna try to concentrate in the service centers, Sanford, Bedford, and so forth, and everybody started screaming and saying, why do they get it? Why can't we all get it? It used to qualify. So we had a pine tree zone. Technology Park was a pine tree
Yep.
zone that we had to qualify for. And then the state said, oh, heck with it, let everybody have it. So it's statewide, so it doesn't exist anymore.
So we can take that out.
Take it out. We did take it out.
Yeah, that's
We
fine.
took it out the last year.
Okay, anything else in 9?
9.4, we already have established an economic development. I would say support the Economic Development Committee, or something to that effect.
Makes sense to me.
Yep. Support the Economic Development Committee, promote business.
Clean that up.
And it says consider, at 9.5, consider using tax increment financing or similar mechanisms to reduce property tax for the first few years for new businesses. Is that kind of in a TIF thing that we have or not?
Yeah, we use that.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
9.5?
Okay.
9.6, I believe, is done, isn't it, to improve the water pressure? We've already done that as a pumping station, so I think that's taken care of. 9.6, is that already taken care of?
Yep,
Okay, so that can go away.
That can
yeah,
go away.
that's done.
That's done. We have
Back to
pumping-
9.5 says consider using tax increment.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
We are doing it.
So,
So just say use,
use.
Continue to use, I mean.
Continue?
Continue to use.
continue to use, okay.
I mean, one of the programs that's gonna come out of it is business development program, and facade improvement programs. They already have 14 units sold, so
Really?
they have problems finding enough guys to build them.
We all set with 9?
Oh, no, I
10,
Did we say to do that?
didn't. No, I don't know that we
I
did.
don't think we did, so.
Okay, 9.3, Dr. pointed out as urban residential areas.
oh, yes. Thank you.
Very good.
I'm sorry, Simone, where are you?
9.3, take out the urban residential. And just put residential.
Oh, yes,
areas.
R1 and R2.
Yeah,
Or just residential area?
right.
Yeah, because there's still,
Yeah,
there's
that's vile
already
wording.
written down to Limerick Road, right? Simone,
Yeah.
At
love
least
it.
twice.
Where?
if I could get the
Village.
RV grant for it, I would.
I know what word, I just want to exit there.
9.2, village residential areas and village, somebody sees village, so they're just gonna
9.2?
I can't see that.
go. Village residential areas, I'm
Wow.
Not my
Not
9.2.
mine.
Not mine either.
gonna. Really? Okay, there's another.
I think that word was perfect.
Are you editing the wrong document?
I probably have.
Yeah, I think we pulled that last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You obviously didn't get the that they issue was in the arrow.
So on 9.7, 9.7,
Yeah,
is it just the community commercial south area, or should we just,
No, that's DB one and DB two now.
yeah,
Changed
that's
that.
already been changed.
oh, that's already been changed, okay. Okay, I have DB1, DB2.
Did
and
we
We're
fail,
gonna
did I not get
update
this
it.
out to everybody? I thought,
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I have my old one here.
See, I'm working off an old working
Me too, I
document.
have I did write DB1, DB2 on the side.
All right. Anything else on 9?
I
Okay.
think we'll be done with that.
Forging ahead to 10. Provide clear and efficient land use ordinances. I think we should just scratch that whole thing over there, which are consistent with this comprehensive plan. 10.1, okay with everybody?
I think 10.3.
No, get rid of the dimensional requirements and standards. We don't have that in our future land use plan.
So what is it supposed to say?
Or do we?
Amend the land use ordinance to establish,
New districts that achieve the goals and objectives of,
For the future land
yeah,
use
for
plan?
the land, goals and objectives described in this plan.
Why do you say we don't have dimensional requirements?
Because we haven't established them in our future land use plan, I don't believe.
But that's what you're supposed to do, you amended to do that, right?
Yeah, but
We have it now, but, and at least we got the acreage limitations, those are dimensional requirements.
yeah, we do have that. But we don't have, our future land use plan doesn't, our old future land use plan used to specify exactly what the setbacks were.
Yep.
We don't have that anymore. Because our old future land use plan was a zoning ordinance, basically.
Mhm.
Because it specified every single dimensional requirement in all the districts. Which begs the question, what's the difference between that and a zoning ordinance?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly. So, but if the zoning ordinance basically deviates on one dimension, then it's not in compliance with the comp plan. So they can make the argument it's not in compliance with the comp plan. Unless it was suggested.
Yeah, but this is to say we're gonna amend it to establish new districts with, you say we're not gonna have dimensional requirements?
No, we're gonna have dimensional requirements, but it's specifying a future land use plan with dimensional requirements in the comp plan. Remember, the comp plan's got the future land use section, which specifies exactly what districts are gonna be and what their standards are.
What if it said, amend the land use ordinance to establish, you get rid of the word new, districts in conformance
With this plan,
with the requirements of the comp plan?
yeah. Goals and objectives of the comp plan. Oh, and keep it, you can keep the dimensions in there, if you so wish. I've lost my place. Wow, how did we get up down there?
10.1,
We're 10.9, thank you.
10.1.
1.
10.1. Then we need to establish,
Requirements and standards called for in the comp plan.
dimensional requirement, how about that? We'll put dimension in there. Dimensional-
I'm totally lost with the
Just got rid
sentence.
of dimensional.
No, I
You need
know,
to have that.
requirements, and standards.
Where are you at? I'm totally.
So what is it we have now? Amend the land use ordinance to establish districts in conformance with,
It's the goals and objectives of this comprehensive plan. Take out future land use, basically.
And you've got to establish dimensional requirements and standard new districts.
Wait, I haven't finished editing yet.
Okay. To establish districts, we had said.
And we're getting rid of new districts.
I thought we were gonna do districts.
get rid of the word new, not the word
New's gone,
district.
new's gotta go. New's gone, establish. Yes. Districts. Get rid of that, and put in conformance with the goals and objectives of this comprehensive plan.
Of this plan.
Okay.
Taking out future land use plan.
Oh, I still want
I think we made that one longer.
No.
So we're gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, does that disqualify us if we make it a little bit
No.
longer?
All right, 10.2. Amend the land use ordinance to incorporate standards for lot development and design called for throughout these policies and other action steps. Anything wrong with that? Don't you? 10.3, amend the land use ordinance to clarify the sign regulations, particularly when there is more than one business on a property.
Apparently that was a problem, so I'm glad
It's been
looks like
done.
it's been addressed.
I think it's been addressed.
I don't know, they're still working on signs, from what I hear.
They'll never stop.
So do we need this action or not?
Let's say, they could figure this out.
Yeah, I say, do we need this at all, or?
They're
Not
doing
good
that
sign.
right now. You might as well keep that for the moment.
Okay.
In revising the land use ordinance, pay particular attention to definitions to ensure that the meaning of the ordinance may not be misconstrued.
That must have happened.
Wow, I must have missed that somewhere along. Is that a slap or what?
I know,
Wow.
should we take that out then,
All in
or?
parentheses. it has
I think that's
his name.
something you have to do. That's kind of fundamental.
Yeah,
It's like saying,
Right.
in order to start the car, insert key into ignition.
okay, that stays. In revising the land use ordinance. to
Oh, so you want, I was
I
gonna
was
say
gonna take it
get rid
out.
of it, but.
Well, it's a nice reminder.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Let's not forget that.
It's really important. I can live with it.
Know what the words mean, but
It's a very.
we can rephrase it.
Grant, so you need copy Facebook for some people that need it.
Okay, I can always use a
Revise-
refreshing slap.
No hammer.
In revising the land use ordinance to, it should be the extent feasible, include illustrations showing the standards in the ordinance.
That's very good, people
So
are
the-
visual, people are very
Okay.
visual.
And put in the word the, please.
I got it. Oh, I gotta do some drawings now.
We've already done that, right? Parking?
Yeah.
Oh, no, but it's gonna, it's gonna be in things like roof pitches and the architectural stuff should be done anyway.
Yeah.
Signs, the same sort of thing, I'm just running out of time, that's all.
All roofs should slope to the outside.
Not necessarily, we allow butterfly roofs.
In revising the land use ordinance, minimize the number and types of activities that require planning board review to those with the potential for off-site and environmental impacts. Is that real?
I don't know what it means.
I think that should say, make the planning board look at everything to keep them off the streets.
It's basically saying that, isn't it? We would, like, staff would, and I don't know why, we would like to say, delegate more authority to staff to basically, to accelerate the approval process.
I think it's basically just another way of saying, keep it simple, stupid.
Which one?
It is.
It's a 10.6.
I don't know what it means, really.
So is that gonna, we're gonna leave that because it's interesting, or are we
Yes.
going to take it out because it's?
Both interesting and confusing, and I say leave it in.
Just to keep it on their toes? Okay. That's my vote.
Well, the problem is the planning boards and this board have actually expanded the number of activities that we're
Yeah.
reviewing. So,
You should explain to the planning board some night how lucky they are to have a comp plan committee with a sense of humor. And 10.7, periodically review the number of new dwelling units allowed by the residential growth permit ordinance to determine if the number properly reflects the town's ability to absorb new growth. Read 0.
no, we had like 23.
Yeah, I know.
We haven't even broken half.
No, I was referring to the town's ability to absorb new growth. But I assume that should stay. It being 9:03, and I think we still need to establish some sort of a schedule for the remaining meetings. We should stop here, and we're gonna pick it up with number 11 next time. I can't believe we're only at number 11, but that's okay.
Oh, I can.
I think we did really well.
No, we haven't even gotten to the implementation plan yet.
Well, once we do this part, the implementation plan will be relatively easy.
And I
Because
love
we have to just adjust the same ones again, hopefully not with the same lengthy discussion.
And you know, the really great thing is, let's look at the capital improvement plan, that's a hoop too.
We're skipping
Yes.
that.
Capital investment plan?
Yeah.
Okay,
It hasn't changed a whole lot, has it?
here we are on March 17th. Our next regularly scheduled meeting would be April 7th. Is that what we're going to shoot for? But we need, obviously, I'm gonna say we need 2 more meetings just to get through this, and we still have to have time for a public hearing. So if we have 2 meetings in April, the 7th and the 21st, and then we can have our public hearing in May, does that work, Ted?
We have to have our public hearing 30 days prior to the warrant being posted. Or the selectmen setting the warrant, maybe the selectmen set the warrant. Let's do reverse engineer this.
Well, voting is the second Tuesday in June, correct?
June 9th.
So when
That's
the
the ninth.
selectmen,
Well, June 10th, it will be town meeting, but the warrant is the 9th, 10th.
That week,
oh, that's
so.
right.
So
We gotta change that.
you have to sign it by,
So the question is,
Yeah.
30 days from when the selectmen set the warrant. So when are you gonna set the warrant?
well, usually by the end of May, we have to have it, you know, the preliminary warrant is in the town report book, but that's not the official warrant, and you have no less than 7 days before town meeting. So usually the last meeting and the second, do you have a calendar right there?
Yes, I do.
It would be, they meet the 2nd and 4th.
Last
so
meeting may be the 25th, which is probably also Memorial Day.
days, so that's
Then
cutting
the
it close, so
26th.
it probably, I would think Jack would probably prefer it more at the beginning of May, but I don't know how ready he'll be for it either.
Well, then we're already dead.
We are already dead. How about March 31st and then April 7th?
Wrap it up?
That's what I was thinking too, up it and then.
Yeah, because we have to have it advertised by May 1st. Actually, we have to advertise it before that. We have to if your last meeting is the 24th, did you say?
It's the 26th.
26th, okay, so I gotta go back 30 days from that.
All right, so that makes it April.
It's not to say we can't,
I
should be
know.
a special meeting just to sign the warrant.
I know. Oh, well, you're gonna do that for the
Back
planning
up,
board, I
so-
guarantee that.
Huh?
Yeah, I guarantee you're gonna do it for the planning board, because I have
Right.
no idea how we do that.
All right, so, well, the warrant then could technically be signed the next week, which would be the first week in June, the first or second.
We're very late, because that's gotta be posted 7 days prior to.
Well, you know that never bothers them, because you can just do it. If, you know,
Yeah, right.
between issues.
That's not
yeah.
true, if you read your arrow, you know that.
Our vice chair has made a suggestion that we just bite the bullet and meet in another 2 weeks, which is March 31st,
Yeah.
and then meet again on April 7th and be done with this.
I second it. Oh, there was a motion?
Just me.
It's already in my calendar, isn't it?
You've not only seconded it, you voted for all of us, and it was unanimous.
It's in there.
Good job, I like that.
That's economy.
I know.
Thank you, Dad.
Okay, so 31st and the 7th,
Okay.
Good.
So preparing things for
yes.
public hearing.
Now, the next time we go through this, we have to be a little less prone to flights of fancy, I think, otherwise we're not gonna make it. So maybe concentrate on the ones that have distinct wording issues that deal with what we've changed, so we're sure we catch those. And then if we have a couple of others that we say, well, let's just throw this out because it makes no sense, we can do that. But if we miss those this time around, there'll be another round.
Right,
So,
very shortly, yeah.
yeah, okay.
I have to commend this group, I think you guys are a bullet train. Decision making.
That's almost getting my profile in the arrow. It's like that way, isn't it?
All right.
Which are on the website.
If anyone is interested in,
So did we adjourn?
I think we did, yes. Did you move the adjournment, Doris?
I like to make a motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor at 9:09.
Hey, what did you say?
And